तैयारियां पे खजुल दे यार तू मौत की कश्मीर की है।
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, our focus has to be on what's been happening vis-a-vis India and Pakistan and the world over now, because you're looking at a very, very strong statement that has come in from the US that is calling out the hypocrisy of a lot of people, actually not mincing their words. But before I tell you about that also, what about the Israel connection? What is it about the meeting that has happened between India and Israel? That also in just a moment. But right now what you need to know is that India is going all out. You've heard the Prime Minister saying we'll track them, identify them, punish them. And now the Home Minister Amit Shah has made it absolutely clear that you need to identify, track and ensure that all Pakistanis are out of the country with the deadline that the government has put forward. You're looking at the story moving very, very fast. These are images earlier of a lot of chaos that you have seen, particularly at the borders. There is heavy checking, heavy patrolling. We'll quickly, put out more images to tell you about developments in the day. The army chief was also earlier in Kashmir. He's met with the LG, he's met with the other corps commanders to essentially be apprised of what's going on. Rahul Gandhi was also in Kashmir, from where he's again spoken of being together as a country when it comes to the response. Massive search operations are still continuing as we speak, even tonight in Jammu and Kashmir. Because the idea is also to pick up all those people who provided any kind of overground support also to the terrorists. This is the picture that you must look at very, very carefully. Before I tell you more about Tulsi Gabbard there and what she has tweeted in just a moment, but Tulsi Gabbard is not mincing her words. She, remember, is the director of the intelligence services there in the US. Allow me to quote what she says, and we'll try to see if we can put out that quote also on our screens in just a moment. But she says, ladies and gentlemen, that we stand in solidarity with India in the wake of the horrific Islamist terrorist attack targeting and killing 26 Hindus, she says, in Pahalgam. My prayers and deepest sympathies, she continues, are with those who lost a loved one. Then she says, with the Prime Minister, the country, and with the people of India right now. We are with you and support you as you hunt down those responsible for the heinous attack. So for the very first time, that is the tweet that I was just talking about that's on your screens, and the highlighted portion will tell you that this is for the very first time that you have America calling out terror for what it is. She says that targeting and killing 26 Hindus in Pahalgam. I don't recall the last time around that you had anyone from the US establishment calling out the hypocrisy of a lot of people and speaking truth the way it should be. But clearly, a lot of focus now is going to be about what happens from here on. Like I said, you have a lot of terror-related operations still going on, whether it's the combing, the search operations, or also the fact that the government is considering what really needs to be done next. I want to take a moment to introduce our guests before I get in our straight questions. We have Rajinder Kumarji, who's the former Special Director of IB, joining us on top of the show, along with the Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadavji, who's the former Director General of the Infantry of the Indian Army. Sir, thank you also for your time. Sushant Sareen needs no introduction. He's a strategic affairs expert and a senior fellow at the ORF. Sushant, also good to have you on the show tonight. With your permission, gentlemen, as we say, this is Pahalgam payback that has begun. Pakistani is not allowed in the country. But the story is moving fast because, like I said, you have that very first terse response from the US. You have an important meeting also of the Ambassador of Israel earlier, meeting with India's Defense Secretary. We'll also put out that picture. But let's take the straight questions. And then we'll go to our panel of guests to find out answers to those questions. The first is a question that a lot of you have been asking us, an issue that we've been discussing for the last many days. And this is whether this is mission wipe out Pakistan from India. Are we really on that leg where we clearly need to go in for a total wipeout of Pakistan from India? You're looking at the Home Minister dialing all chief ministers and saying, follow the orders, follow the protocol, ensure that all Pakistanis leave the country. This brings us to our second straight question tonight. That's going to go up on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. Is April 22nd to India what October 7th was to Israel? And just think about the connection. Think about the responses that you have seen, whether it is Israel and the fact that you have the ambassador of Israel earlier meeting with the India's defense secretary. Is there something larger at play? Let's bring up our third straight question also on the show tonight. And that reads, whether Gabbard using the word Hindu victim. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a defining moment. It is a defining moment tonight. What could this mean for not just the politics, but the real fight against terror? And for a lot of apologists, let's not forget this. This brings us to our fourth straight question again that we've put out for you, and we'll try to find an answer to that. Narendra Modi just about yesterday in Bihar spoke in English. There was a message for the world. So is that global call working? You're looking at America speaking up, Israel speaking up. You have tons of world capitals today saying we are with India. What will that mean? This brings us to our final straight question now that also is up on your screens as we speak. This time, is it no escape for Pakistan? I don't think this needs to be re-emphasized again and again and again, but our patience has run out completely. Let's begin by Rajinder Kumarji and his thoughts on these issues we've discussed. What are you thinking? What do you make of Tulsi Gabbard's statement? What do you make of the fact that you also had the ambassador of Israel meeting with the India's defense secretary? What could happen?
See, this time it is the world has recognized the duplicity and the crookedness of Pakistan and the Pakistan establishment, and more importantly, the Pakistan army chief, who is the main perpetrator of this heinous crime. Everybody has, if you will find that this time not a single country has come to speak in support of Pakistan. No, Pakistan is not getting any support from anywhere, not even from its friend with whom it used to claim higher than Himalayas and low and deeper than the ocean. Not even that friend has spoken about it. So Pakistan knows that it is in deep trouble. What it has done is unpardonable. They never fathomed that they will have such a strong reaction from the government. I personally feel this is the time when we have to give a final knock to the Pakistan. And this knock has to be given very slowly. It should not be one day matter. It should not be one single strike somewhere. It has to be close daily, bit by bit, breaking of Pakistani morale. And it will not be very difficult to do it in couple of months. That's my thinking.
Okay, you say it has to be done step by step. It won't be very difficult. Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadavji, before I get in Sushant, for his thoughts on this, how do you see what has happened in the last few hours? The army chief is in Kashmir. We've heard the opposition saying we are with the government on whatever step they want to take. You have the US finally admitting what, India has been reiterating for the longest time, that you have, Hindus that have been targeted here. And you have the Israel, entire coalition also coming in together. Should we be able to connect the dots and perhaps find a larger answer here?
You see, there are two things that are happening. Number one, India is together. Everybody on the same page. All political parties and all the agencies of India, they're on the same page. That is number one. And second thing is, finally, the Pakistan has been exposed nice and proper. Now everybody realizes that Pakistan is a hub of terrorists across the world, and entire world is in support of India. Now that is a big platform for us to take on to something more kinetic and something harder decisions that we have to take as regards to Pakistan. Now, second point I want to convey to your viewers that General Asif Munir, he has not done his homework well. He has repeated the same mistake what Yahya Khan did in 71, what Musharraf did in Kargil, and now this gentleman, he has put his foot in his mouth by coming and giving that lecture, wherein he has invoked Hindu and Muslim divide. He has also invoked the two-nation theory, and the two-nation theory which failed in 1971 with the emergence of Bangladesh. And within Pakistan today, what is happening? Baluch, Pakhtuns and Sindhis. Now these are also ethnic nationalities. Now there are 4 nationalities within Pakistan, and they are not pulling along well. And so there is, as it is, so much of dissent within the country, and that is probably is the reason that Asif Munir has he has opted to go in for this kind of a strike, because anti-India narrative is the only narrative that brings everybody together in that country. So that is one. Second part is all army journals in Pakistan. They have proven to be unprofessional, they are conceited, and they are corrupt, and they are expert in deceive and deception. And this is what is unfolding as on date. And since the entire world is with us, now it is good for us, and we must go ahead to take the hard decisions and take action in a manner that Pakistan is deterred in continuing this kind of activities in the future.
Okay. Okay, you hope that Pakistan is going to be deterred, but Sushant, are you hopeful? Because, you know, looking at the pattern, looking at everything that has happened, you and I also have had multiple conversations on such issues. I mean, where do you see this entire story moving, and what is it, you know, that you sense possibly could be the outcome of Pahalgam?
You know, it's difficult to say what the outcome is going to be. It will depend on what are the next actions we are going to be taking. I think at the diplomatic and the political level, and perhaps there are certain actions we can still take at the economic level to put much greater pressure on Pakistan, literally ruin their economy, whatever little remains of it. We can do a lot more. And I think we should be doing all of that. But on the military level, it depends on what the government has thought out. See, I am very clear. If you have to take any military action, it should never be taken in anger. It should be taken after cold, calculated, deliberated moves and covering all your bases and covering all angles. I don't think any heroic assumptions about what the other side may or may not do and how deep or how much the escalation ladder we will have to climb. I don't think we should leave, anything that, okay, when we reach that point, we will see. So I think we should work out that entire escalation matrix before we get into a kinetic thing. And if it takes another couple of weeks, we should not be rushed. At least the government should not be rushed, or the forces should not be rushed into us taking a certain action prematurely. You know, it's like what Field Marshal Manekshaw told the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi when she was pushing him to launch operations in East Pakistan, which is again East Pakistan nowadays. He had very clearly said that you give me my 6-8 months, let me prepare, and then I'll give you what you want. So if the forces need more time, please give them the time. If they need to prepare harder and much more, please give them that time. I also agree with what Mr. Rajendra Kumar is saying. He's absolutely right. This has to be done regularly. It has to be done consistently. There is no one
Oh, I think technology is just playing a spoiler, and Sushant's link there is frozen. But I'll just take this opportunity to talk about these images that you're seeing on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, because this is the devastation, the aftermath of 2 houses that were demolished earlier today. If you're wondering whose houses these are, there was also an explosion. These belong to 2 terrorists who possibly have links to the LET, that is the Lashkar-e-Toiba. The sense is that even as we speak, in multiple areas, not just in Kulgaon, but even in Tral and in other areas, there is right now this massive manhunt that has been launched, essentially to also pick out OGWs, which are overground workers, to be able to find out who were those people shielding them. So possibly there is some bit of intel, possibly there is some bit of direction that the agencies already have. Now, Rajendra Kumarji, I just want to, have the advantage of having you on the show and use your expertise, because a lot of times when such skets, are really put out, There is a reward being announced for them. There are these search operations, combing operations, trying to find OGWs. But will the agencies be already sitting on a lot of data? Will they already have a lot of information?
See, I'm sure that the intelligence agency by now has sufficient information to carry out further investigations. And one thing more, that it is not we here in India, we are collecting intelligence. Lot of inputs come from our sister agencies throughout the world. So all these inputs, which probably earlier may not have been scanned by those countries, by those agencies, they then, when they look back at that data, then they find out, oh, this is relevant to this is relevant to. Lot of data will come in, must have come by now, and if not till now, it will come in a day or two, and I'm sure that the things would become very clear. And let me also tell you why nobody is coming in support of Pakistan. Why none of the Western countries which used to rush to the defense of Pakistan. It was because this time probably all of them has got some bit of information that it was Pakistan and Pakistan establishment which has orchestrated this most heinous crime. So that's why they are just not speaking out in favor of Pakistan.
And I don't know, like, what really is the support or relevance of Pakistan at all right now? Whether it is the Taliban, whether it is Afghanistan, whether it is even the US. Because the current regime clearly, has no love lost right now for Pakistan. And that is why you see Pakistan literally scrambling. Sushant, apologies, we just lost your link briefly there. But before I get you back into the conversation, Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadavji, why don't you tell me more about, this entire conversation that is happening of the fact whether, what April 22nd is for India and what October the 7th was for Israel. Could there be any comparison? I mean, are we going to be looking at a punishment, quote unquote, in unimaginable ways? Because that is what the Prime Minister said. He said, mitti mein mila denge, we'll go to the end of the earth. Those are the words that he used.
You see what happened in Israel and what had happened in India. These are two different setups altogether. Notwithstanding that, there are certain similarities. Similarities are that innocent citizens, they have been killed by all these terrorists. All right. To that extent, there is similarity. But what is the setup and what is the terrain and what is the kind of opposition that you have in Israel and what tactics Israel follows and what we do in insurgency are two different things altogether. Israel goes in for mass earth kind of demolition. They have demolished the entire Gaza Strip, and that strip is only a very small piece of ground, 30 to 40 kilometers by 10 kilometers. Here we are talking of a vast area, Jammu and Kashmir, thousands and thousands of square kilometers, and the terrain is mountainous, full of jungles, far too much of broken ground. So there are far too many places where they can hide. Plus also the population, the part of population are still sympathizers to terrorists. So there are two different setups and two different designs altogether. So while in part of the execution, the way it has been done, there is certain similarity. So we must take lessons of what Israelis have gone through and we must implement them as it suits us in our terrain and our environment.
But, when you say that, sir, I appreciate, your logic. But Sushant, as a viewer, as a citizen of the country, we want to know how much is enough. You keep giving a long rope to Pakistan, I understand. You want to strike them diplomatically, I understand. But this is a Pakistan that clearly does not get the lesson. And the fact is that this time around, when the Prime Minister is saying that we'll go to the end of the earth, he does not name the word Pakistan. Tulsi Gabbard also in her tweet does not call Pakistan out for, naming Pakistan per se. But we all know what she's referring to. Are you looking at a larger global coalition already in works like we saw at the end of 9/11, Sushant?
Look, let me just agree with what General Yadav just said. I think we trivialize what happened on October 7th in terms of the horrificness of the incident. What happened on the 22nd was no less than what happened on October 7th, but just the sheer scale of what happened in Israel and the sheer magnitude of that is, I don't think the two incidents can be compared. Secondly, I think you also have to see, the kind of superiority, military superiority that Israel enjoys in its area is not something we enjoy. We don't have that same level of superiority. Then I come to your question. Look, all the support that we are getting from the world is encouraging. But I don't think we can bank upon that support in fighting our wars ourselves. I look, if that support comes later on, well and good, great. But I don't think our calculations of getting into any kind of kinetic action can be based on whether that support, whether it is intelligence, whether it is material support, whether it is military support, whatever it might be. I'm not going to bank upon somebody coming and supporting me in a much more extended kind of a campaign which I might be wanting to do. Now, what the Prime Minister has said, I will take this Prime Minister seriously. He is a man who does not use these kind of words lightly. So I would take him with enormous amounts of seriousness, but I'm not very sure of what, when, and where he has planned. Maybe it will happen tonight. Maybe it will happen a week from now. Maybe it will happen 6 months from now. I cannot speculate on that. I also cannot speculate on what is the kind of action we'll be taking, what is the magnitude of that action that we'll be taking. I don't think any of us sitting out here can speculate that. And I think that is a matter that the government at the top levels will take.
Yes.
But I think some action is certainly being expected and will probably have to be taken. But again, let me reiterate, taking a certain action, be prepared for some kind of a retaliation from the Pakistani side. At that point of time, then we should not get disheartened. Oh shit, the Pakistanis have also hit back. At that point of time, we should be able to absorb it and then ramp up our reaction to it. The mistake we made in Balakot was that after a tit for tat, we let it be. We should have gone up the escalation ladder at that point of time, because that would have had a much greater and a much more salutary impact. The government in its wisdom decided it did not want to go down that road. But this time, if you don't go down that road, you lose the plot. Number one. Number two, and allow me to say this, it is important that the Pakistanis get to know that our threshold is very, very low now.
Absolutely. I agree with that, Sushant. Your patience cannot be infinite, right? Our patience cannot be infinite. I think, yes, on that note, only for word of time, gentlemen, thank you so much for adding perspective to that story, helping us understand how the story could possibly move over this weekend, over the next few days. I'm thanking all of you for your time. And now, let's also get you Newsnight's parting shot. So some things are very, very clear, and we'll bring up those details, the big takeaways, as far as the story and the way it has crystallized. These are going to be dark days for Pakistan. No matter what Pakistan could say, denials could not help, because this is a fact. What is also a fact that India is going to hit back at a time of its choosing. There is going to be no elbow room for Pakistan now. It cannot run to China, it cannot even run to a Turkey, or it cannot even run to anywhere else. Because this time around, you have all world capitals standing with India. And not that what Sushant said, that this is encouragement, but yes, India is capable of fighting its own battles. We've done that in the past. We'll continue to do that today and also tomorrow. So you have the world against Pakistan. Tulsi Gabbard, putting out that hard-hitting statement, I think that should not be missed. There is a lot that you can read between the lines and between the words also there. This brings us to our next big takeaway as far as this big story is concerned. Narendra Modi, let's reiterate this again and again and again. He has said we'll pursue these people who've perpetrated this, entire dastardly attack, and those behind them, those behind the curtain, till the ends of the earth. So he is not backing off. He is not backing off any moment now. This means no matter where you go, no matter how many excuses you cook, no matter how much victim card you play, ladies and gentlemen, there is no escape for Pakistan. That's the note that we'll end the show on, with a promise that NDTV will continue to keep you on top of the story. We'll see you Monday now. For the moment, good night.